So good morning. We will continue our discussion from the previous class. Can you see the screen? Can somebody confirm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the previous class, we had derived one equation for the velocity of sound. Actually, we derived two equations. One is for any fluid, where we describe that velocity or speed of sound can be written as c square is equal to del p del rho at constant entropy. Okay, for an isentropic process. So del P del rho. And for an ideal gas, this can be simplified as C is equal to root over gamma RT. Okay. So for example, if we consider air to be flowing through the nozzle or steam to be flowing through the nozzle, we can take the appropriate values of gamma and R and temperature for steam, and we can find out what is the speed of sound in steam. And then based on the speed of sound and based on the actual flow velocity, we can find out what is the Mach number. Okay. Now we want to actually find out how the flow velocity and area are correlated. Means if the area increases, how the when the flow velocity increase or decrease or things like that. Okay. So to design a nozzle, we want to find out how the velocity V changes with the nozzle area A. Okay. Our common experience from day-to-day lives is that if the area decreases, like in a funnel, if the area decreases, the velocity should increase. Okay. So whenever we have a cross section where the area is decreasing, the velocity should increase. That is our common day-to-day experience. But it is not always true. Okay, it is only true for subsonic flows when the Mach number is less than 1. When the Mach number is less than 1, if you have a nozzle like this, where the area is decreasing, okay, and the inlet velocity is V1, outlet velocity is V2, then V2 is going to be greater than V1. Okay. If we have the opposite case where the area is increasing, we call it a diffuser it at subsonic flow for subsonic flow. And if the area is increasing, the velocity decreases in that case. Okay. However, for supersonic flow, when m is greater than 1, if the area increases, like shown here, from V1 to V2, sorry, if the area increases, the velocity also increases. Okay, V2 is greater than V1. This is very counterintuitive. Okay, so in this case, if you have a device like the above device where the area is decreasing, the velocity will actually decrease in that case at Mach number greater than 1. So the diffuser, it will be like a diffuser if it is like a convergent shape. So the nozzle has to be shaped like a diverging device at Mach number greater than 1. Okay. So if you want to go from below Mach number less than 1 to above Mach number greater than 1, you have to add these two sections together. So you should have a convergence section below Mach number 1 where the velocity goes up to Mach number 1, and then you should have a divergence section where the velocity goes beyond Mach number 1, okay, and goes to supersonic values. It's very counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive in the sense what actually happens is that at very high Mach number, when the area increases, the density decreases so rapidly that the velocity also increases. Means m dot is fixed ultimately. M dot is equal to rho av. A is increasing, so generally V should decrease, but in this case density decreases so rapidly that V also increases. Okay. So we want to see this, that this holds true. Okay, instead of just assuming that this is the case, we want to actually mathematically see that this is indeed true. Okay. So to do that, we will do a derivation. We will start with a 1D isentropic flow like in the previous case. Okay. So typically flow through nozzles can be approximated as 1D isentropic flow. If there are not much frictional losses, which is the case in real life, and not much heat transfer occurring because the flow is quite fast. This flow is isentropic, and if we assume that there is not much variation along the cross-sectional side, means along the y direction or r direction, then the only change that is occurring is along the flow direction. Okay, the velocity, temperature, everything just changes along the flow direction. So that's why we can assume it to be a 1D flow. So it's ultimately a 1D isentropic flow. So mass flow rate is equal to rho AV. It's constant because it's a steady flow process. Okay. So if I take a derivative of this. Okay, because mass flow rate is constant, derivative of this is 0. So, and derivative of rho AV is AV into d rho plus rho V into dA plus rho A into dV. Okay, so this is equal to 0. Dividing the entire thing by rho AV, you get d rho by rho plus dA by A plus dV by V equal to 0. Okay. Say this is our equation 1. Okay. D rho by rho plus dA by A plus dV by V. So it relates how changes in area is related to changes in density and changes in velocity. Okay. So we have to eliminate one of these terms to find the connection between any two variables. Okay. So if we can eliminate d rho, we will find the change in like how dV changes with dA. If dA is positive, whether dV is positive or negative, that we can find if we can eliminate d rho. Okay. So we will take a second equation. Second equation is our first law equation. Okay. So for the first law equation, for a nozzle, you know that work transfer is 0, W is 0, and heat transfer is 0. Isentropic process, Q is 0. If we ignore the change in potential energy, we are just left with enthalpy and kinetic energy. So H1 plus V1 square by 2 equal to H2 plus V2 square by 2. Okay, for any two locations, like say at the inlet and outlet, or any other two locations also. So ultimately H plus V square by 2 is constant in the nozzle. Okay. We have discussed this previously also, that H0 is constant, means the total enthalpy is constant, or the static enthalpy plus kinetic energy is constant. So I will keep this open here. Okay. So H plus V square by 2 is constant. If you again take a derivative, dH plus V dV, derivative of V square by 2 is 2V dV by 2. So 2 gets cancelled. So we have V dV equal to 0. Okay. Now I can also use TDS relation. TDS relation says that TDS is equal to DH minus VDP. Okay, this is one of the two TDS relations we have discussed in the previous class. These are very standard relations which you have read in thermodynamics. Okay, there are two relations: TDS is equal to du plus PdV, and TDS is equal to DH minus VDP. So using this relation now, we can replace this DH as TDS plus VDP. Okay, so TDS plus VDP plus capital VDV equal to 0. TDS is equal to 0 because DS is 0 because it's an isentropic flow. So VDP plus capital VDV equal to 0. Small v is specific volume, capital V is velocity. Okay, these two are different things. So small v is specific volume, capital V is velocity. So once we have found V, we can now relate it to rho. Okay, because ultimately we want to eliminate rho from here. So VDP plus VdV is equal to 0, or dP by rho. V is 1 by rho. So dP by rho plus VdV equal to 0. This is our second equation. Okay, this was our first equation. D rho by rho plus dA by A plus dV by V equal to 0. And second equation is dP by rho plus VdV equal to 0. So from this equation, okay, we can write dV. Okay, so say this term dV by V. Okay, we can write this term dV by V as, so if you divide by V square, you will get dV by V, and here you will have dP by rho V square. Okay, so dV by V is equal to minus dP by rho V square, or minus dV by V is equal to dP by rho V square. Okay, this we are going to replace in this equation. So we will have dA by A, which is equal to, or dA by A plus d rho by rho minus dP by rho V square. Okay, so if you take them to the other side, you have dA by A equal to dP by rho V square minus d rho by rho. Just rearranging the terms. Okay, we have eliminated this dV. We have eliminated this dV. First, we have eliminated this. Later, we will see that we will eliminate this d rho term and dP terms also. So, dA by A is equal to dP by rho V square if you take this out as common. And inside bracket you will have 1 minus So if you take dp by rho v square, this rho comes out, and ultimately you have to multiply this d rho by v square by dp, okay, to cancel this dp by v square. So 1 minus v square d rho by dp. This d rho by dp for a constant entropy process looks similar to us, because in the previous class we have discussed that dp by d rho at constant entropy is equal to c square, okay, or del p by del rho at constant entropy equal to c square. So this is actually for at constant entropy is equal to 1 by c square, okay, inverse of 1 c square. So we can write this as, so del rho by del p constant entropy 1 by c square. So dA by A is equal to dp by rho v square into 1 minus v square by c square, where v is the velocity and c is the speed of sound. So v by c is Mach number m. So v square by c square is equal to m square. So finally we have a relation between area and pressure, means change in area and change in pressure, which says that dA by A equal to dp by rho v square into 1 minus m square. Okay, let us look at this equation carefully. If m is small, less than 1, okay, for a subsonic flow m is less than 1, 1 minus m square is positive, okay. It means that if dA is positive, dp has to be positive. A and rho v square anyway are going to be positive, area has to be positive, rho and v square also has to be positive. So if dA is positive, dp is positive. If it means that if the area increases, the pressure also increases, okay, because dA positive means dp also positive. Area increases, pressure also increases. So this is the case that we had seen for subsonic flow. For the nozzle, what happens? dA is negative, area decreases. So dp also has to be negative. From this equation, if dA is negative, dp also has to be negative, okay. So area decreases means pressure will also decrease. So in a nozzle, actually the pressure decreases. The pressure at the inlet is higher as compared to pressure at the outlet. So the flow is along the pressure gradient. What about a diffuser? Diffuser is the opposite device, means the area increases. So if dA is positive, dp has to be positive. So in a diffuser, the pressure actually increases. Flow occurs against the pressure gradient, means the pressure gradient is in the opposite direction to the flow. So in the diffuser, where the area keeps on increasing, the pressure also keeps on increasing. At the inlet pressure is less, at the outlet pressure is more. Still the flow occurs because there is certain velocity at which the flow is coming, and that velocity causes the flow to occur opposite to the direction of the pressure gradient. But that is the case in case of diffuser. Now if m is greater than 1, okay, if m is greater than 1, if dA is positive, so this term becomes negative, 1 minus m square. So if dA is positive, dp has to be negative, okay. So this is the case what we see here in the divergent nozzle. M is greater than 1, dA is positive, area is increasing, so dp will be decreasing. P will be decreasing because dp is negative, okay. So this acts like a nozzle. The divergent section acts like a nozzle because the area is increasing and the pressure is decreasing. So it is as if it is like a nozzle where the pressure decreases along the flow. And opposite occurs if the area is decreasing, the pressure will keep on increasing like a diffuser, okay. So now let us try to relate it to velocity, because that will make us understand this better. So the change, because ultimately our target was to find what is the relation between area and velocity, because velocity we can understand very easily, okay, changes in velocity, whether velocity is increasing or decreasing with area, that we want to know, okay. So dp by rho from 2, okay, where is 2? dp by rho is minus vdv, okay, dp by rho is minus vdv. So we will replace this dp by rho here, okay, with minus vdv. So minus vdv by v square. So dv minus dv by v. Okay. So dA by A is equal to, so same equation what you are seeing here. dA by A is equal to minus dv by v 1 minus m square. Okay. So again, you just relate, if m is less than 1, 1 minus m square is positive. Okay, for a subsonic flow, 1 minus m square is positive. So if dA is negative, dV will be positive because of this negative sign. A and V has to be positive. So if dA is negative, dV has to be positive. Okay. So it means that if the area decreases, velocity will increase. And that is what we see in a nozzle, right? If the area decreases, velocity increases for subsonic flow. However, for supersonic flow, 1 minus m square is greater than 0. Sorry, less than 0, negative. 1 minus m square is negative because m square is greater than 1, 1 minus m square is negative. So negative negative becomes positive. So if dA is positive, dV also is positive. Okay. So if the area increases, then the velocity increases. So which is very counterintuitive. Generally, we do not associate because we don't see in day-to-day activities supersonic nozzles. We cannot relate that the area is increasing, the velocity is also increasing. But that is what happens in a supersonic nozzle. So if the area increases, like shown here, the velocity will also increase, and that is clearly seen from the mathematics also. That if the area increases, velocity increases. So for example, if m is less than 1, v increases, and if m is greater than 1, v decreases for this case. Okay. So if m is less than 1, this is like a nozzle. If m is greater than 1, this is like a diffuser. The nozzle has to be shaped like this for m greater than 1. Okay. If it is converging, it means it's like a diffuser. Velocity will decrease. Any questions? Today we are going to have a shorter class. Any questions?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, in supersonic nozzle only when the area is increased, velocity is increases, sir. Or in normal nozzle, what is the case?
Normal nozzle you encounter in day-to-day activity, right? Say nozzle like a funnel. If you are pouring some oil, what will happen in a funnel? Area is decreasing.
Yes.
Velocity will increase, right? Area
Yes, sir.
decreases, velocity will increase. So normal things, and whenever, so you just consider a cone, conical section. You blow air from one side. On the other side, the air velocity will be higher, right? Because it comes
Yes.
out from a small region. And generally, m dot is equal to, not generally means m dot is equal to rho av, right? So if the change in
Yes.
rho is very small, we can assume rho almost to be constant at small velocities. So A is inverse. So AV is constant. So A is inversely proportional to V. So if V decreases, if A decreases, V has to increase. Like for example, that flow of water through a funnel or something like that. But that is not the case at very high, at supersonic velocity. That we do not understand intuitively because there the density variation is so huge that actually this type of counterintuitive results occur. At subsonic flows, the density variation is too small. So our normal intuition works. Normal intuition is developed from day-to-day activities. Like you are seeing one thing for many years, then you develop that this is the intuition, like this will happen. But when something does not happen like what we feel like, then it becomes like we cannot understand that why this is happening. Then you have to go into mathematics to try to understand that what is happening in those cases. Any other questions? Okay, so suppose there is a nozzle here. Okay, subsonic nozzle, like the area is decreasing. Okay, so at the inlet, the velocity is less than the speed of sound. So Mach number is less than 1. The maximum Mach number that can be attained in this nozzle is equal to Mach number 1. Is it true? Like what I am saying? The maximum flow velocity that can be obtained in this is m equal to 1. Because ultimately, so how can you increase the, so you consider a nozzle, okay, just consider a nozzle. There are pressures at two ends of the nozzle, okay. There are say at one end I have 100 kilopascal pressure, at another end also I have 100 kilopascal pressure. Will there be any flow through this nozzle if I have same pressure on both sides? Assume
No,
that it's
sir.
a, No, right. Now I decrease the pressure on this side. Okay, instead of 100 kilopascal, I make it 80 kilopascal. Okay, so inlet has 100 kilopascal, outlet has 80 kilopascal. Now there is a pressure gradient, so flow should start, right, in the like a pressure driven flow. So velocity there will be certain mass flow rate because of the pressure difference, and there will be certain velocity. Okay, so say at the inlet the Mach number is zero point 0.1, and at the outlet Mach number is 0.4. I'm just putting some random values. Okay, so at the inlet it's 0.1 and at the outlet it's 0.4 because the velocity has to increase. Now if I increase the pressure difference, instead of 80 kilopascal I make it 50 or 60 kilopascal. Inlet is 100 kilopascal, outlet is 60 kilopascal. Okay, pressure difference has increased. So will it have any effect on the mass flow rate? Because there is now larger driving force. Mass flow rate should also increase, right? Because of larger driving force, more mass flow rate should occur. So as a result, velocity will increase at the inlet also. So instead of 0.1, say at the inlet, it has become 0.2. And at the outlet, the Mach number is now 0.8. Okay. Now, if I decrease the pressure even further at the outlet, the pressure difference becomes even higher. So ultimately at the inlet it will become, say it becomes 0.3, and at the outlet it becomes 1.2. Can this happen? Because the velocity keeps on increasing. At the inlet it has increased to 0.3 now instead of 0.2, and at the outlet instead of 0.8 it has become 1.2. Is it possible?
No, sir.
It is not possible. Why is it not possible? Because once the velocity reaches Mach number 1, say it has reached Mach number 1 at this point. Okay, so I can use the pen here, right? Say it has reached the velocity Mach number means sonic velocity at this point. What will happen in this convergence section? Can the velocity increase in the convergence section? Because already velocity is at Mach number 1. So for the velocity to increase, it has to be supersonic, right? But in a convergence section, for a supersonic flow, what happens to the velocity? Does the velocity increase or decrease in the convergence section for a supersonic flow?
Decrease.
It decreases, right? That is what we have found. If m is greater than 1, v decreases. So it has to decrease to less than 1. Okay. But if the velocity decreases to less than Mach number less than 1, means velocity has to decrease. But here the velocity is Mach number 1. So how can it decrease? If it decreases, it will go to subsonic flow. Okay. And for subsonic flow in a convergence section, what happens in a subsonic flow? Will the velocity increase or decrease?
So increase.
It will increase, right? So that is also not possible. We have already established, because here the Mach number is 1, the velocity cannot increase. So velocity cannot increase also, velocity cannot decrease also, which means that ultimately the Mach number cannot become 1 here or in between somewhere here, anywhere, because both the flow after this section, whether it's subsonic or supersonic, is not possible. So what happens is that the only thing that can happen is that the Mach number can become 1 at the outlet section. Okay, because it is not possible for the Mach number to become 1 at any other section. So automatically the flow rate gets adjusted so that the velocity changes in such a way so that the Mach number becomes 1 at the outlet section. After this, if you keep on decreasing the pressure at the outside, say instead of 50 kilopascal, now you have 20 kilopascal. So 5 times decrease in pressure. Here you had 100 kilopascal, here you have 20 kilopascal. There won't be any change in the nozzle. Once it reaches Mach number 1, that's it. It will remain at Mach number 1 because nothing else is possible. We have already seen that both types of situations are impossible. So once it reaches Mach number 1, it will remain at Mach number. Even if it is vacuum in this side, then also the outlet velocity is going to be Mach number 1. So for example, you are in space and there is a spacecraft, or say International Space Station, and there is a small hole there. Okay, suddenly there is a small puncture because of some micrometeorite or something like that. So the velocity at which the air will come out of that hole, because of the pressure difference between the inside, which is at 1 atmosphere or less than 1 atmosphere pressure basically, but still, and outside, which is vacuum, will still be Mach number equal to 1, okay, at sonic velocity, although outside is fully vacuum. Okay, and we will see later what is the ratio at which we reach Mach number equal to 1, but it is very easy to reach. Around say half pressure, you will reach Mach number equal to 1. So even if your say cycle tire also gets punctured, at just for a very brief moment, okay, the pressure ratio is such that the flow comes out at sonic velocity for a very brief moment. After that, quickly the pressure equalizes, but because of the large pressure difference, it acts like a nozzle, and Mach number, the velocity is sonic velocity at that moment, in case of tire puncture or any other puncture also. So anyway, but my point here is that you will reach a condition where the Mach number becomes equal to 1 at the end section. So this end section is known as throat section. Okay, and this condition of reaching the Mach number 1 where there is no change after that is known as choked condition. Okay, when this happens, we call it as choked flow. Okay, so after this, no more change can occur. Well, how much you decrease the pressure, nothing, no change can occur. Okay, so if the nozzle is lengthened further, so say you have reached choke flow. Okay, please switch off your mic. Say you have reached choke flow. Okay, like shown here, and at this point your velocity Mach number is equal to 1. Now I want to increase the nozzle length. Okay, I increase the nozzle length like this. So in this section, it's a converging section, right? If the Mach number is already here equal to 1, so for the flow velocity to increase, the flow has to be supersonic in this region, right? Because for supersonic flow only, for a converging section, the velocity will increase, right? If the flow velocity decreases, then it has to be subsonic because, sorry, no, I'm saying is not correct. Okay, if the flow velocity increases, this has to be subsonic, right? Because for a converging section in subsonic flow, the velocity increases. Okay, but what will happen here? Already Mach number was equal to 1. So for the flow velocity to increase, it will go to value Mach number greater than 1. So the subsonic nature of the flow will not remain here. So it means that our assumption that the flow velocity will increase with converging section cannot remain here. Okay, because it is supersonic. Same thing will happen if you consider that it's supersonic. If the flow velocity has to increase here, like a diffuser, it has to be, flow velocity has to be supersonic. But if the velocity decreases and here the velocity is equal to Mach number 1, in this section velocity will become less than Mach number 1, right? So ultimately it will become subsonic. Then the condition for diffuser is not valid. So again, both the conditions are not satisfied here. So it cannot act like a diffuser also, it cannot act like a nozzle also. So it means that, what does it mean? So if I elongate this nozzle, that the flow velocity cannot remain as Mach number 1 at this section. Okay, the flow velocity will become Mach number 1 at the outlet. So flow velocity can only become equal to Mach number 1 at the minimum area region, okay, which is the outlet. And the flow will automatically adjust so that the flow velocity becomes less than Mach number 1 at the previous location. So what will happen to the mass flow rate in that case? Will it remain same? Because the cross-sectional area of A is higher than the cross-sectional area of B. We have reduced the cross-sectional area. in both cases, the velocities are equal to Mach number 1, right? So if the area is reduced, the flow mass flow rate has to be reduced. Okay, m dot equal to rho AV. So mass flow rate has to be reduced. Those other properties are equal to sonic properties. Okay. So ultimately, what will happen for choked flow? Always you get the sonic velocity at the minimum area region. This region is also known as the throat section. Okay. So flow rate will get reduced so that the velocity is sonic at V. Any questions?
So, like here, is it possible that the velocity at A is like equal to Mach number 1, and then it stays constant from A to B? Like,
No, it is not possible because if the area changes, according to our relations, either velocity has to increase or velocity has to decrease. Okay, velocity cannot remain constant. So that's why it cannot be. And you can also understand from physical point of view. Say here the Mach number is 1. Okay, what you are asking is a good question. Say here the Mach number is 1. If the Mach number remains 1, it means that the velocity remains constant. All the other properties also will remain constant because they are at the same state. Okay, so velocity constant, speed of sound is constant, root over gamma RT is constant, so temperature remains constant, pressure remains constant, everything remains constant. Okay, so everything remains constant, including the velocity. Then how will you accommodate this change in area? Density also remains constant, velocity also remains constant, but mass flow rate also has to remain constant, but the area is decreasing. So then without changing velocity or density, m dot should be proportional to A, but mass flow rate also has to be constant because the same mass flow rate is going out. Okay, so that is why physically also it cannot happen. Is it clear?
And sir,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Yes.
sir, you said that if at A Mach number is achieved for like somehow, then sir, I did not get like why it is going to be like what will happen at A.
No. I am saying that you have a nozzle which was of this length. Okay. Which was of this length. Okay. And by giving some pressure difference, you have received Mach number equal to 1 here. Okay. By giving some pressure difference, you have received Mach number. Just wait for a second. Switch off the sim. So I am saying that what should happen now if the length is increased. Okay, if the length is increased, what should happen now? Okay, I am increasing the length of the nozzle like this. Now this is also convergent portion, this extra length that I have created. Okay, but the Mach number was already 1 here. So now whether the velocity will increase in this section or decrease in this section, and we have established that both of them are not possible because velocity cannot increase here in a converging section. For the velocity to increase, it should act like a nozzle. So that can only happen if it's a subsonic flow. But from Mach number 1, if the velocity increases, it becomes supersonic. So obviously that is not feasible. And if the velocity has to decrease, then it has to be a supersonic flow. Then it has to act like a diffuser, like we have seen here. Okay. If the velocity has to decrease, it has to be like a supersonic flow. Mach number has to be greater than 1. But here the Mach number is 1. So if the velocity decreases, then the Mach number becomes less than 1. So it cannot be supersonic flow. So both this situation is not possible. The only thing that is possible is that the Mach number equal to 1 section gets shifted to here. So now the Mach number will be 1 at this point, and here the velocity will be some subsonic velocity, Mach number less than 1. Okay, that is what is going to happen. So that is what I was showing here. that what will happen if you change the throat section. Ultimately, the Mach number is always going to be 1 at the throat section only. Means at the section where you have the minimum area. All the other sections, the flow will get adjusted accordingly. Okay, and this is actually a nice way to calculate, say, mass flow rate, or means if you know what is the size of the area, okay, and if you have a large pressure difference on both sides, so you know that the flow has to occur at the throat section at sonic velocity. Okay, so you will be able to calculate based on the temperature what is the velocity at that section, sonic velocity at that section. And if you know the area, you can calculate the mass flow rate very easily. Okay, so if you want to devise or design a device which measures the mass flow rate, this is one way to do it. Okay, this is one way to make it. So because you know what is the area and what is the velocity, you can easily calculate what is going to be the mass flow rate through a section. Okay. And this type of flow is known as choked flow, because however, how much you keep on decreasing the pressure on the other side, means if you keep on increasing the pressure difference, there is not going to be any change in the nozzle. It is always going to flow in the same manner. Okay, so that's why it is known as choked flow. Any questions?
So what will happen if the entering velocity is Mach number equal to?
Sorry, ending velocities?
Sir, entering velocity.
Entry velocity is itself Mach number equal to 1.
Yes.
So it will automatically get adjusted so that it becomes much less than 1. Because if you cannot force the entry velocity, entry velocity is equal to Mach number 1, right? No, then there is no
Yes,
issue.
sir.
Then there is no issue. Then it will act like a diffuser. Okay. Entry velocity itself is, sorry. No, your point is correct. Entry velocity is equal to Mach number 1 means it cannot act like a diffuser because the cross-sectional area is decreasing. The velocity has to decrease if it has to act like a diffuser, but then it will become subsonic, and in subsonic flow the velocity cannot decrease in a decreasing cross-sectional area. So that type of flow is not possible. Okay, what will happen is that the entry velocity will automatically get adjusted. So you will be providing some pressure difference or something to give that entry velocity equal to Mach number 1. Maybe the flow is coming from some upstream side through a pipe at Mach number 1. Okay, but once it has to flow through this nozzle, the flow will get choked. Okay, that's why this term choked is there. And the flow velocity will reduce. The mass flow rate has to decrease in the upstream side so that the Mach number becomes 1 at the lowest cross-sectional area. And automatically at the higher cross-sectional area here, the Mach number will be less than 1. It will automatically get adjusted. Is it clear?
Sir, like
Yes,
when
sir.
we say it would get adjusted, like what would be changing? Like pressure difference we already have given.
Pressure
And
difference you have already given, but the pressure difference that is set up in the, we will have anyway discussed in the next class, but let me explain here. The pressure difference that will be set up in the nozzle will be different than the pressure difference that we are giving. Okay, I think I have the plot here, but I will discuss this in more detail in the next class. Okay, so what will happen is that we will discuss this anyway, but these are good questions, so I will just explain. So if the pressure difference is less, means say inlet some pressure is there, and if the outlet the pressure is so less that the nozzle becomes choked here, what will happen is that the pressure will keep on decreasing in the nozzle until it reaches a certain value, and then there will be a sudden jump outside, okay, to the lower pressure difference that you are applying. So I will give one example. Say at the inlet the pressure is 100 kilopascal, and at the outlet you have given 80 kilopascal pressure. In that case the nozzle is not choked. Okay, now you have reduced it to 50 kilopascal, so half of the inlet pressure. Now the nozzle is choked. So the pressure variation will look something like this C line, okay, C line that you can see here from 1 to C. Now if you reduce the pressure further, say instead of 50 kilopascal, if you make it 20 kilopascal, you are saying that I am changing the pressure. So some change has to occur inside, but that is not going to occur. So ultimately the inside pressure variation will still be 1 to C. Okay, so inside the pressure will still go from 100 to 50 kilopascal. then there will be a sudden jump outside like a shock, and from 50 to 20 kilopascal will occur in a sudden jump outside. Okay. Now if it outside is fully vacuum, also same thing will happen. Inside the nozzle the pressure will remain similar, follow the same pattern, but outside there will be a sudden jump. Okay. So you cannot change the pressure variation inside the nozzle anymore once the nozzle has become choked. Does this answer your question? We will discuss this in more detail in the next class.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We will come to this. This is a good question. Particularly, these things will become very important for converging, diverging nozzles, where it is more difficult to understand what is happening. And we have to understand converging, diverging nozzles in the next class. Okay. So the only way to increase, so we have seen that it is not possible to increase the velocity beyond Mach number 1 by increasing the length of the nozzle. Only way to increase the flow velocity from subsonic to supersonic then is to use a convergent divergent nozzle, okay, or it is known as a CD nozzle. What is a convergent divergent nozzle? There is a converging section, then there is a area, minimum area region, then there is a diverging section. This minimum area region is known as the throat section, okay. And if the flow is choked here, okay, so then what will happen? The flow comes at subsonic velocity. Then this converging section acts like a nozzle. So flow velocity keeps on increasing like this. Then it goes to Mach number 1. Okay. And then once it reaches Mach number 1, now the area is increasing. So above Mach number 1, it should act like again like a nozzle. So again the velocity keeps on increasing. So ultimately you get high velocity fluid at the outside, much greater than Mach number 1. Okay. And the velocity can be kept on increasing. If you have a very long section on the divergent side, you can get very high velocities. Okay. Hypersonic velocities also is possible. So this is known as a CD nozzle or convergent. It's very famous. It's used in many applications. Like for example, these were used in space shuttles, rocket engines. You will see the divergent part of the nozzle. Okay, if you see the rocket engine, if you have anyone has carefully observed the space shuttles, like now the program is closed, but when it used to fly, the main engines, the booster engines, okay, you will see that large sections are there outside, which looks like divergent sections, like diffuser, and then some fiery jet is coming out from there. Okay, so that divergent section is not actually a diffuser, that is a nozzle, but because the flow is highly supersonic there, hypersonic flow, that acts like a nozzle there, although the area is increasing. And there is a convergent portion of the nozzle which is not visible to us, which is inside the engine. Okay, only the divergent portion is visible to us. You can easily Google this and see also. Okay, in many cases. Maybe it is possible to see. Okay. It's not very clear, but let me just find one of the images. Okay. So this is how it looked like from the outside. This is actually how the nozzle looks like. There is a converging section which is not clearly visible, and this diverging section is for the supersonic or hypersonic flow. Actually, the flow velocity will keep on increasing. It is not a diffuser. It's a nozzle. Okay. So there is a small converging section like shown here, and then there is a large diverging section. Okay. So which was visible from the outside. If you see a space shuttle flying, you will see like this, the diverging section are visible from the outside. Let us come back to this. Okay, so this is the only way to increase the velocity from below Mach number 1 to above Mach number 1. Other way you cannot increase it. You need a convergent divergent nozzle. So my question now is, what happens if the pressure difference is too low so that the Mach number is not equal to 1 here? Okay, it is less than 1. Say Mach number is 0.5 at this region. If the velocity is, if the pressure difference is too low between the inlet and outlet, the flow velocity will be small. So Mach number here has not reached 0.1, like 1. So it is less than 1. So what will happen in the downstream region from here?
Sir, the Mach number would fall even more. Like,
It will fall even more. It will become like a diffuser. So like it's one part is nozzle, one part is like a diffuser. Okay, it will not serve the purpose. So you have to keep on increasing the mass flow rate until the nozzle becomes choked. And once the flow becomes choked, then only you will have this converging diverging effect, like increasing the velocity to supersonic velocity. So the space shuttle nozzle that I have shown, all those will operate at choked condition, because without operating at choked condition, you cannot go to supersonic velocities. So all of these nozzles will operate at choked condition, and that actually helps in calculations, because ultimately you know that the minimum area, what is the minimum cross sectional area, throat area is known. So and you know that the velocity here has to be equal to speed of sound. So you can calculate the mass flow rate easily in any of these devices, converging diverging devices. Okay. So if the pressure difference between the inlet and the outlet is sufficiently large, the throat will be choked and the flow will be accelerated to supersonic velocity in the divergent part. What I do not mention here is that the pressure, if the pressure difference is not sufficiently large, the throat will not become choked and the flow will not be accelerated in the divergent part. Flow will just get decelerated like a normal diffuser, common day-to-day use, like if you have a diffuser in normal, say, if you are blowing air from the opposite side of a funnel, from the small area section to the large area, the flow velocity will decrease. That is what is going to happen. Okay. I will take a small break here and we will continue this discussion after the break. Okay. If you have any other questions, think about it. We'll finish at our class early today, I think. Let me check how much I want to go. Three, 4 pages are left, around half an hour. Okay. So let me take a small break and continue. So, okay, we will continue. Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have established that how the area and velocity are related in case of a 1D isentropic flow. So what cases will act like a nozzle and what should act like a diffuser, we have established. So let us find out how all the properties are going to vary with Mach number. Okay. Why this is the case? Because the Mach number will change along the nozzle. Okay, we are interested in steam nozzles, right? So why we are studying this? This is because there are steam nozzles in the turbines which accelerates the flow before the flow impinges on the turbine blades. So that is the big picture. So we want to see. So ultimately in the nozzle we know what is the variation of velocity. We can find this out. Okay. So we want to find out what are the relation of temperature, pressure, etc. with change in velocity. Okay. So this is what we have written here. Variation of properties with Mach number for a 1D isentropic flow. Temperature, pressure, and density. These are the properties we are interested in, and we want to know how these properties change. Okay. So we know the stagnation temperature is defined as static temperature T plus V square by 2 Cp. We have discussed this in the previous class. Okay. T0 is equal to T plus V square by 2 Cp. So now by dividing both sides by T, you get T0 by T equal to 1 plus V square by 2 Cp in T. Okay. Now Cp is equal to gamma R by gamma minus 1. By definition, you can easily find out because Cp by Cv is equal to gamma and Cp minus Cv is equal to R. Using these two relations, you can find that Cp is equal to gamma R by gamma minus 1. Okay. So if you replace this here, you will get 2 into gamma R by gamma minus 1 T. Okay. So 2T into gamma R by gamma minus 1. Okay. So T0 by T is equal to 1 plus V square by 2T into gamma R by gamma minus 1. Okay. What is gamma RT? This T into gamma R is equal to C square. Okay. So you will get 2C square in the bottom. Gamma minus 1 can be taken out to the other side. So, or you can take gamma minus 1 and 2 both outside. So, gamma minus 1 by 2 V square by C square. Okay. So, T0 by T is 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 V square by C square, which is nothing but equal to M square. So, T0 by T is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 M square. This is actually a very popular or famous equation. So, this how the stagnation and static temperatures are related in a 1D isentropic flow in terms of velocity. So T0 by T is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 M square. This is valid for an ideal gas. Okay. Because we have used ideal gas law here for writing this velocity. C square is equal to gamma RT. Why is this so important? Because for 1D isentropic flow, okay, for flow through a nozzle like this nozzle or any nozzle, what does the first law say? What is the change in enthalpy that occurs? What is the change in, say, let us take a simple example. Okay. Say this top case, the nozzle case, M less than 1. So it is a nozzle, right? This one is also nozzle because M greater than 1, area is increasing. So what is the change in static enthalpy and kinetic energy? Static enthalpy increases or decreases?
Decrease.
It will decrease. What is the first law equation for this?
H plus V square by 2, that will be constant, like
That will be constant. Correct. Good. That will be constant. So H1 plus V1 square by 2 is equal to H2 plus V2 square by 2. H plus V square by 2 is constant. So what is H plus V square by 2? It is equal to stagnation enthalpy H0, right? So H0 is constant. We have already established this in the previous class also. H0 is constant. What does it mean? Then what will be the variation in stagnation temperature if stagnation enthalpy is constant?
So it should increase.
It should be stagnation enthalpy is constant H0. Okay, so what will be the variation of stagnation temperature T0?
So maybe increasing.
By increasing? How can it increase? For increasing the temperature, then energy has to increase, right? Otherwise, how will the temperature increase? Energy increases means enthalpy has to increase. Not static temperature, I am talking about stagnation temperature. What will happen to static temperature? Can anyone say? Static means the normal temperature. Will it increase or decrease? H1 plus V1 square by 2 equal to H2 plus V2 square by 2. And V2 is greater than V1, right? So we have established that H1 is greater than H2. Enthalpy is decreasing. So what will happen to T1 and T2? What is the relation? Whether T1 equal to T2, T1 less than T2, T1 greater than T2.
Temperature would decrease, sir.
Temperature will decrease. Ultimately Cp into T, right? So what about stagnation temperature? T0.
It should remain constant, sir, like because
It
H0
will
is
remain constant, correct. It will remain constant. So stagnation temperature will remain constant along a nozzle or a diffuser. Okay. Even for more complicated geometry like this convergent divergent nozzle also, stagnation temperature will remain constant. This has a big implication. It means that if you know what is the temperature outside, say the velocity is negligible, okay, at the inlet. Typically nozzle will have very small velocity at the inlet section. Okay, compared to the other section, it may be negligible. So if the velocity is negligible at the inlet, what is the relation between static and stagnation temperature in that case? If the velocity is negligible at the inlet, means almost zero.
almost same, sir.
Almost same, right? So if you know the static temperature, you know the stagnation temperature. And once you know the stagnation temperature at the inlet, and we know the stagnation temperature remains constant along the entire nozzle, we can know the stagnation temperature everywhere in the nozzle, right? So if it is say 500 Kelvin, everywhere it has to be 500 Kelvin. So that's why once you know the inlet stagnation temperature everywhere, even if it is not zero, velocity is not zero, say 100 meter per second velocity is there in the inlet, you will know the static temperature and the velocity. You can easily calculate the stagnation temperature. T is equal to T0 is equal to T plus V square by 2 Cp. So stagnation temperature at the inlet can be easily calculated. And once you have established what is the stagnation temperature at the inlet, we know by first law that stagnation temperature should not change. So stagnation temperature will remain constant along the entire length of the nozzle. Okay. That's why, because you know T0, so if you know what is the variation M, what is variation in M, you can find out what is the variation of T. If M is increasing, how will T change? That can be easily found. Okay. That is very interesting from here. T0 is fixed for the entire nozzle. M is increasing. What will happen to T? Gamma minus 1 by 2. Is it a positive term or negative term?
Positive.
Positive term. And M is increasing means this
T will decrease.
T will decrease. Temperature will keep on decreasing with increasing Mach number. So along the nozzle, temperature decreases. Okay. Flow gets
Sir,
accelerated. Yes.
sir, like, can you once tell like physically what this stagnation temperature means, sir?
Yes. So stagnation temperature is the temperature. So you have a fluid. So if you have a fluid flowing in a channel, okay, with a certain velocity and temperature, say 300 degrees centigrade, 300 Kelvin and 100 meter per second. If you bring the fluid at rest adiabatically, okay, so say there is an obstruction in its path and the fluid gradually comes to rest, means at zero velocity. What will happen is that the kinetic energy that is present, first present in the fluid, will get converted to enthalpy, means it will get converted to temperature. This kinetic energy of the bulk fluid will get converted to increase, will be basically increase the temperature. Velocity will go to zero and that kinetic energy will increase the enthalpy or temperature. Okay. So this temperature that we will get when the velocity becomes zero is known as stagnation temperature. Okay. Physically, if you think from microscopic point of view, what is kinetic energy? Means if all the molecules are moving in the same direction, we can say that if there is a flow in a certain direction, we can say that there is a bulk movement of all the molecules in a certain direction. Okay, this manifests as velocity at the macroscopic scale, and we can calculate the kinetic energy. And what is temperature at the microscopic scale? It is that each individual molecule is moving along its own direction, own path, randomly. Okay, so each of the individual molecule has their, so say air has oxygen, nitrogen. So each of these oxygen, nitrogen molecules are moving about randomly, okay, freely. So each of them has a certain kinetic energy, and this average kinetic energy is manifested at the macroscopic scale as your temperature. Okay. So if the temperature increases, when we say temperature increases, actually the kinetic energy of each molecule is getting increased. Okay. So when we are saying that the overall kinetic energy of the bulk fluid is getting converted to temperature, what it means is that the overall kinetic energy that all the molecules are moving in the same direction at a certain velocity, that energy is getting converted into random motion of the molecule. So the average temperature increases. Okay. It might sound confusing, but again, I will come to the simple definition. If there is a pipe through which air is flowing at a certain velocity, 100 meters per second, and say temperature 300 Kelvin, then there is an obstruction, and the air will, because it is facing the obstruction, it will come to zero velocity. Okay, so it will come to zero velocity, and in doing that, if there is no heat loss, its temperature will increase. If the flow hits the obstruction, it will come to zero velocity, the kinetic energy gets converted to enthalpy, and this temperature will increase. The temperature that we will get when the velocity becomes zero is known as stagnation temperature. It's the same as stagnation pressure. So you have the flow and it is at a certain pressure. Okay. When the flow comes to rest isentropically, like because of the obstruction, its pressure will also increase. Okay. Because that kinetic energy gets converted to enthalpy, which is actually manifested as pressure, change in pressure and temperature. So pressure will also increase. So that is what we call a stagnation pressure or total pressure. Okay. Is it clear?
No, sir. Like still there's a doubt. Like, sir, if temperature increase is increasing, then sir, kinetic energy cannot be zero. No, it has to be like it has to increase if temperature is increasing.
No, there are two types of kinetic energy.
One,
What we are calling as kinetic energy is the bulk kinetic energy at the macroscopic scale, continuum scale. Okay.
okay, full gas macroscope group.
Macroscopic, we are not assuming that there are any molecules. When all these thermodynamics, fluid mechanics that we are learning in general. Okay. Here we assume one thing at the beginning of the course, that there is a continuum assumption, that we have a continuous media. Okay. All this flow is like the Navier-Stokes equation. You don't assume that there are individual molecules. You assume that it's a continuous medium. And all the equations are only valid based on that assumption. Okay. Once you go to molecular levels, equations are different. Then you have to use something which is known as statistical mechanics or statistical thermodynamics. And all the equations will become different. So all this first law, second law, these are for continuum based approach. Okay. So when I'm saying kinetic energy is the overall kinetic energy, not the temperature, the kinetic energy related to the temperature. That I was just explaining. I think I have confused you more. You just assume that the overall kinetic energy that gets converted to enthalpy in that case, in the macroscopic scale. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay. So T0 by T is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 m square. Okay. So this relation is very important because this gives us opportunity to find the value of T at different locations in a nozzle if we know what is the velocity variation. Okay. And this is valid for all M, whether it's subsonic, supersonic. We have not taken any assumption here, subsonic, supersonic, anything. So this is valid for all M, for a convergent, divergent nozzle, divergent nozzle, anything. This is valid. Okay. Now, because for isentropic changes, P0 by P is equal to T0 by T to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. We can write P0 by P is equal to, so T0 by T we have already calculated, we can write that P0 by P is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 m square to the power gamma by gamma minus 1. Okay. So this is the variation of pressure. Okay. Again, at the inlet, the stagnation pressure remains same or is known. So you can find the variation of pressure along the entire domain. Or from the change in temperature also you can find the variation of pressure. Similarly, density is also related for isentropic flow, like rho 0 by rho is equal to T0 by T to the power 1 by gamma minus 1. So from the previous relation we can derive rho 0 by rho is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 m square to the power whole to the power 1 by gamma minus 1. So all the properties we can derive based on the inlet properties. Okay. So as T0, P0, so I will summarize this. I have already written it here. As T0, P0 and rho 0 remain constant for one day isentropic flow at any location. Okay, T0, so stagnation temperature, stagnation pressure and stagnation density has to remain constant. Okay, along any location. Static properties T, P and rho can be obtained using equations 1, 2 and 3 if the Mach number is known. One special case is Mach number equal to 1. Okay. When the Mach number is equal to 1, means this condition is sonic condition or choked condition. Okay. In that case, the properties are known as critical properties, and the ratio of the properties means rho 0 by rho, P0 by P, T0 by T. These ratios are known as critical ratios. Okay, critical properties and critical ratios. These are very important. Okay. So, for example, I will keep this open here, and so that you can relate to this. T0 by T is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 m square, right? So if Mach number is 1, so you replace Mach number 1 here. So you will be left with T0 by T is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 into 1. So 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2, which is equal to gamma plus 1 by 2. Okay. Or T by T0 is equal to 2 by gamma plus 1. For critical properties, means when this Mach number is 1, we are calling the properties as critical properties. For critical properties, the properties are denoted by the star value. Okay. So we can write that T star by T0 is equal to 2 by gamma plus 1. That is what I have derived here. T star by T0 is equal to 2 by gamma plus 1. Very important relation. Okay. Why this is so important? See, there is nothing in this equation except gamma. Okay. So it means that if the inlet condition is known, okay, for choked condition where the Mach number is equal to 1, you can easily find out what is the critical temperature. Okay, T star. It has to be T star by T0 has to be equal to 2 by gamma plus 1. It cannot be anything else. Okay. Similarly, this second equation is even more important. I will come to its importance. P star by P0 is equal to T star by T0 to the power gamma by gamma minus 1, like this. Okay. So P star by P0 is equal to 2 by gamma plus 1 whole to the power gamma by gamma minus 1, and rho star by rho 0 is equal to 2 by gamma plus 1 by, again this is, you replace T star by T0 here. So 2 by gamma plus 1 whole to the power 1 by gamma minus 1. Okay. Why this ratio is so important? Okay. This gives us the ratio between the inlet where the pressure, stagnation pressure is P0, okay, and the nozzle throat section where the pressure has to be P star. It cannot be any other value. It has to be P star, and this has to follow this relation. 2 by gamma plus 1 whole to the power gamma by gamma minus 1 is a fixed value. For air, it is around 0.5 to 3 or something like that, 0.5 something. Okay, we can easily calculate. Because gamma is 1.4, you can calculate what will be the value for this. Okay, so this value is fixed. So if you know what is P0, P star has to be fixed. So if there is a convergent nozzle, okay, is the value written somewhere? Let me check whether I've written it somewhere or not. I don't think I've written it somewhere. But the value is very important. We'll find the value. We have time. 2 by gamma plus 1 whole to the power gamma by gamma minus 1. Right? So 2 by 1.4 plus 1 whole to the power 1.4 by minus 1 gamma by gamma minus 1. 0.5283. Okay, so this is the value 0.5283. This is known as critical pressure ratio. Okay, so say the inlet at the inlet the velocity is negligible. You have a convergent nozzle like this. You have to try to understand this. You have to read this material again before the next class. Okay, say we have a convergent nozzle like this. Take any nozzle. Do I have any nozzle here? Okay, let this be the nozzle. At the inlet, the velocity is almost negligible and the pressure is 100 kilopascal. If the velocity is almost negligible, static pressure is 100 kilopascal, what will be the stagnation pressure there? So velocity is almost zero, very small. Static pressure is 100 kilopascal, what will be the stagnation pressure there? What about stagnation temperature? If the static temperature is 300 Kelvin, what will be the stagnation temperature? Today only we have discussed. You have to be able to relate all these things together. Develop intuition for this.
The pressure
So
will be
what did you ask?
0.5.
I asked that initially I asked that if the inlet velocity to this convergent nozzle is very small, negligible, okay, and the static pressure is 100 kilopascal, what will be the stagnation pressure? And then I asked that if the inlet temperature is 300 Kelvin, static temperature, what will be the stagnation temperature?
So stagnation temperature would be 300 Kelvin only because like
Correct.
velocity
Because
is
velocity is almost zero. So T0 is equal to T plus V square by 2Cp. So what is the relation between static pressure is 100 kilopascal. Stagnation pressure also has to be 100 kilopascal.
Yes.
So say inlet stagnation pressure is 100 kilopascal. Okay. Static pressure also is 100 kilopascal. Okay. So our relation says that critical pressure ratio has to be what was the value we have calculated here? 0.5283. Okay. The value we have calculated here is 0.5283. This is the ratio of P star by P0. P0 is 100 kilopascal. Okay. So now it means that if the nozzle has to be at, if the nozzle has to have sonic velocity at the exit, the pressure there has to be what pressure? 52.83 kilopascal. Okay. So if the velocity of the nozzle has to be sonic at the exit, there is no other option but the pressure has to be 52.83 because this ratio has to be maintained and there is no other option. Now if you have a pressure outside the nozzle at the outside, okay, at the outside of the nozzle, say you have a pressure. So you have a nozzle like this. This is 100 kilopascal. I am just using my mouse, it is difficult to work. And here you have put 80 kilopascal. Okay. So what will happen to this nozzle? Will it be choked? Inlet velocity is negligible. Okay. Think about it. Will it be choked? Will the velocity, can the velocity be or Mach number be equal to 1 at the exit?
No, sir. Pressure is very
Pressure
less.
is too high. Okay, at the exit. So what about if I make it? So what should be the pressure to have it choked? If I keep on decreasing the pressure, if it is 60, will it be choked?
So earlier you said nearly at the half it would get choked, so maybe 50 or less than that.
That is, I just randomly said, but now we know the exact value at which it will get choked. What is that exact value? We have just now derived
52.8.
52.83. Okay, that is the ratio. Writing is too difficult using the mouse. 52.83. Okay, so we have just now derived that this is the ratio 0.5 to 83. So at the inlet, if the pressure is 100 kilopascal, at the exit, if it is 52.83, it will become choke. And then only the Mach number can be 1 here, because that is what our relation is saying. It cannot be anything else. So what will happen now if I have 20 kilopascal at the outside? What will be the pressure at this section, throat section? Can anyone say? Inlet is still 100 kilopascal. Outside, I have put 20 kilopascal here. Or vacuum, I have put 0 pressure. What will be the? What will happen?
So we'll still get Mach number is equal to 1.
1. And what will be the pressure at the throat section? If Mach number is equal to 1?
It should be 52.83. Then there will be a sudden pressure drop.
Yes, and correct. And then there will be a jump in pressure outside, just outside, like a shock wave from 52.83 to 20. Sudden jump will be there. Okay. So just inside, just at the exit section, it is 52.83, and then suddenly it goes to 20 kilopascal. Okay. So this is what is going to happen. So inside there is not going to be any change. It will just go from 100 to 52.83 kilopascal. So now you can imagine this ratio, you understand, right? So now what is the atmospheric pressure? 100 kilopascal. Typically, right? Average atmosphere or like approximate atmospheric pressure is 100 kilopascal. Now say you have a certain object like a can, okay, or say rubber tire or balloon, okay. So which is at 200 kilopascal, just 2 atmospheric pressure, very low pressure. 2 atmospheric pressure is very low, less than tire pressures, right? So if there is a puncture now, if there is a hole, okay. So on one side you have 200 kilopascal pressure, on the other side you have 100 kilopascal pressure. Will that hole get choked or not? If it acts like a nozzle, because it will act like a nozzle, the sudden restriction in area is there. If this inside the balloon or inside the tire, rubber tire, like a cycle tire, the pressure is 2 atmospheric pressure, 200 kilopascal. What should be the critical pressure, P star, on the outside?
Around 116.
Why 116?
So 1.104
means twice of this, right? 104. The ratio has to be maintained. So 104, 105.66, right?
Yes.
2 into 52.83, because ratio has to be still maintained. So if the outside, for choked condition, outside pressure has to be equal to 104 point something, 105 point something, which is higher than the atmospheric pressure. So even in the small pressure difference from 2 atmospheric to 1 atmospheric pressure, nozzle will get choked. So actually it is very common phenomena going to supersonic speed. But what happens, it happens for such a small time that we don't understand that this is happening. But whenever something gets punctured very quickly, it will initially for a very brief moment of time, it will be in supersonic, sonic condition, choked condition. And then velocity will go down. Okay, like this. Very interesting thing. So similarly, critical temperature also you can obtain. What is the value? Some 0.8 something, I don't remember right now. Value and critical density. Okay. Then I am going to stop here actually today and this part, because we need to continue it for some time. We'll do it in the next class. Okay. So I am going to stop here today. Are there any questions? Other questions? Otherwise, let's take the attendance. Read this material because it is helpful in the next class. Otherwise, you will just stare blankly, not understand what is happening. So the project list that has been circulated to you guys, is that the final list? Or is there any chance of getting changed? Does anyone know? Like what does, like what did Dr. Venugopal say?
So some people are having some problems, so it might be changed for some people only.
Okay, okay, okay. So there may be a change. Okay, fine. What sort of problem is there? Or we stop the
So
record.
some names are not present.